The coliseum hung in the void like a crown of jagged metal, its vast tiers packed with creatures from 100 worlds. They had gathered for spectacle, for humiliation, for the reminder that humanity was nothing but fragile prey. Captain Elara Vance stood alone on the arena's scarred floor, a slim figure in torn combat fatigues, the taste of iron on her tongue. The cheers above her were not for her survival, but for her destruction. She rolled her shoulders once, steady as stone. The Kael'torr warrior awaiting her was twice her height, armored by nature itself, his talons gleaming under the alien suns. For them, this wasn't combat. It was execution. But Elara's eyes did not waver. The Kael'torr champion raised his arms, bellowing a guttural war cry that rattled the walls. His kind were bred for war, living weapons wrapped in muscle and chitin. He didn't wait for ceremony. With a speed that defied his bulk, he lunged. The strike landed with a thunderclap, a clawed fist slamming across Elara's jaw. Dust billowed, the ground cracked beneath her boots. The crowd roared in anticipation of blood. But when the haze settled, she was still standing. Her lips split, crimson streaked down her chin, but her spine was straight, her gaze locked. She hadn't moved an inch. The coliseum fell silent, thousands of alien eyes wide with disbelief. No human should have survived a Kael'torr's first strike. Elara slowly lifted a hand, wiping the blood from her mouth with the back of her knuckles. The corner of her lips curled, not into a smile, but into something colder, sharper. "My turn," she said softly. The words carried like a shockwave through the arena. The Kael'torr's pupils narrowed. His confidence flickered. And in that heartbeat, the balance of the duel shifted, not through strength but through something far more dangerous. Defiance. The Kael'torr snarled, baring teeth like obsidian knives. He struck again, his claws flashing in an arc meant to tear her apart. Elara twisted aside at the last instant, the blow grazing her ribs and showering sparks as it carved through the arena floor. The crowd erupted, half in fury, half in awe. She circled him, every movement precise, controlled. He was stronger, faster, heavier. But she had studied him. Every step, every breath was a tell. She wasn't fighting a warrior. She was dissecting one. From the shadows of the coliseum, her fellow captives strained against their restraints. Hope flickered in their eyes for the first time since capture. The Kael'torr roared, overextending in his fury. Elara let the blow scrape her shoulder, baiting him closer. Pain shot through her nerves, but she ignored it, locking onto the weakness in his stance. "Come on," she murmured under her breath, eyes cold. "Show me everything." This wasn't just survival anymore. Each breath, each dodge, each counter was a statement. Humanity didn't bow. Humanity adapted. Above, the alien lords leaned forward in their seats. Some snarled for her death. Others whispered, unsettled, about a dangerous truth. Humans endured. The Kael'torr lunged, a blur of muscle and rage. His clawed hand arced down, aimed squarely at Elara's skull. For an instant, the coliseum seemed to hold its breath. She dropped low, her body flowing beneath his strike. His momentum carried him forward, and that was when she struck. Her knee slammed into the back of his joint. The crack rang sharp and brutal, echoing across the coliseum like a gunshot. The alien howled, staggering. For the first time, he looked uncertain. Elara pressed, not with brute strength but with precision. She drove her elbow into the nerve cluster beneath his armored ribs, twisted around and slammed her boot into the softened joint of his carapace. Each move was small, efficient, devastating, an anatomy lesson written in pain. The crowd roared, disbelief spilling into chaos. The Kael'torr, desperate, lashed out with a final sweeping strike, talons carving the air. Elara's eyes locked with his. "You thought we were prey," she said, voice flat as steel. She ducked beneath his blow, wrenched a shard of broken armor from the ground, and drove it upward into the gap beneath his chest plates. The warrior staggered, dropping to one knee, his breath rattling. Silence fell. Elara stepped closer, pressing the shard to his throat. One thrust and the crowd would see a human kill a champion. But she stopped. Her chest rose and fell as she whispered, "I won't kill for your amusement, but humanity won't kneel." The shard clattered to the floor, and the coliseum, thousands of voices, thousands of worlds, had no answer. The silence broke into uproar. Some aliens screamed for blood, outraged that the duel ended without a kill. Others leaned forward in reverent awe, whispering of a human who defied the Kael'torr and chose mercy when victory was hers. Guards released the shackles of Elara's fellow captives, not as a gesture of kindness but out of caution. No one wanted to test what else these fragile-looking humans were capable of. The Kael'torr warrior, clutching his wound, met Elara's gaze. No hatred lingered there now, only a grudging respect. He had struck first with the pride of his people. She had struck back with something he had never encountered: restraint in the face of power. Elara stood tall in the arena, bloodied but unbroken. Humanity had not just survived. They had changed the terms of the fight. Later, in the dim confines of her cell, Elara sat with her freed comrades. The coliseum's echoes still lingered in their bones. "Today we survived," she whispered, her voice low but steady. "Tomorrow, we fight." Beyond the walls, alien diplomats argued whether humanity was a threat to be eradicated or an ally too dangerous to ignore. In the medbay, the Kael'torr champion nursed his wounds. He stared at the shard of his broken armor and muttered, almost to himself, "Perhaps it is our turn to learn." The war was far from over. It had only just begun.